3D printing will help change the future.
Thank you very much for having me. It's a pleasure to meet you. So can you start by telling a bit about yourselves?
Sure. So my name is Dr. Cherise Dunn, and this is my co-founder, Dr. Riyad Domingo. And we are the co-founders of the Africa Makes 3D Printing for Development initiative. That is a social enterprise. It's a unique organization that focuses on the socio-economic development of African youth and entrepreneurs using 3D printing.
We offer rapid prototyping, small batch manufacturing runs, educational services and consulting services to disadvantaged entrepreneurs who would have never been able to access this technology in the past.
Okay, and how all of this started?
Do you want to start our story?
Yeah, so we come from an academic background. So I was at the medical school and so was Dr. Dunn. And one of the questions we always asked ourselves when there was a shortage of medical devices in Africa, whether this is prosthetics, whether this is asthma inhalers so that small children can inhale the medication. A lot of these things are imported, but with 3D printing and additive manufacturing, we can actually make them at home, make them wherever we need them, not wait to import these goods. The other knock-on effect from that is we're creating employment in an industry that there's a future for. Yeah.
Okay, great. How were like the first steps to start this?
Sure. It's taken us a number of years to lay the foundation. I think in South Africa there was a lot of fear around fourth industrial revolution. So as people started getting a little bit more knowledge and empowered about the opportunities that coding presented, I think South African governments, if we're allowed to say, and organizations that support education initiatives in disadvantaged communities especially, automatically think that coding would be the solution in terms of all things for sustainable jobs, for the future workforce and for the African youth. And that's not really the case. So we've taken a number of years to make sure that we have aligned ourselves and met with strategic community partners that have the same vision that we do and believe in sustainable opportunities for African youth, that make sure that it future-proofs their future careers and that they understand and are empowered with the skills to use technology like 3D printing that can support so many other 4-hour technologies like drones and robotics and other things. So whatever unique solutions that they will create and design in the future, they will be completely bespoke and hyper-personalized to the context and the communities in which they find themselves. And for that, you can't use traditional methods to manufacture those things. You need something like 3D printing. But if communities don't know what 3D printing is all about at all, we need to make sure that they are empowered with that knowledge, and so they don't just have access to technology, but they have this a good grasp of the skills that they need in order to use that technology.
And also to empower them with the ability to use the technology for the cases and instances that they find themselves in. So using the appropriate tool for a specific challenge that way. And what we're trying to develop in this ecosystem is the idea of made for Africa, made in Africa, which is the whole mission behind the Africa Makes 3D Printing for Development initiative, so that we can get Africans making their own solutions to their own problems using technology. And technology is accessible, it's widely available, and it's not as expensive and as elitist as what it used to be.
Okay. How do you do this? Like, what kind of activities do you provide?
So we run a number with our community partners, and we are only able to achieve the work that we do through collaboration. So we partner with different accelerators and incubators in business schools locally and internationally, as well as international government organizations that support the work that we do. So through their funding, we are able to implement and execute within the different communities that either have a desperate need for just problems to be solved and challenges to be addressed, or the upskilling of youth in those greater areas. So we run educational workshops over a number of days. We customize the programming for the specific context. So if it needs to run over Saturdays or a certain period, we are easily able to adjust that for the need.
And I think we also provide rapid prototyping and additive manufacturing services for entrepreneurs making use of this technology. So bypassing traditional manufacturing technology where you need a minimum order number and it has to go outside of the country, we get them to use additive manufacturing and 3D printing to create their own prototypes that they can take into client and investor meetings and hopefully get that client to say, yes, I want to buy this product and I want to work with you.
And demo days for the last presentation day where they get to pitch their business and whatever product it is that they are hoping to find investment for.
What were like the most interesting ideas that came out of those days that you can remember?
We did work with one organization that are creating fire alarms for informal dwellings, so shacks and townships. So they're creating fire alarms for those informal dwellings. There's a big problem in townships where a lot of people use flammable liquids in their cooking for light because they don't, in certain cases they don't have electricity. And what happens is sometimes they forget that they leave it on, or someone knocks it over and it lands onto a curtain and the curtain starts burning. And because the shacks are so tightly packed next to each other, it's very easy for large fires to start. Our biggest challenge has been funding, not just for the educational programs, but for the support of entrepreneurs, to get entrepreneurs to think about getting a rapid prototype out that they can take to an investor or client meeting. We talk a lot about the future of Africa's entrepreneurship, but how are we supporting those entrepreneurs to get their products out there, to take to investor meetings locally, but also to take internationally? And 3D printing and additive manufacturing supports that idea, where they can get their prototype out. Someone can say, we want 10, and they can use that technology to make 10 and keep those people happy. And hopefully that is the catalyst for much large orders coming in.
And how do you try to handle these adversities, and how do you get out of it, of these big challenges?
I think just continuing to get our message out and to continue the collaborations however we are able to. So through our years of doing this kind of work, we've been fortunate enough to make really strong partnerships with many international organizations who firmly believe in the work that we do. They understand and they've seen the benefits in their home countries, and they understand the benefit in terms of the mutually beneficial benefit in terms of international trade between the two countries. But for that to really see fruition, you need to have the capacity locally here in South Africa, especially in terms of the digital economy and what that means. We need to have a capable workforce with the skills acquired in many different areas, and 3D printing is fundamentally part of that. So we continue to engage with them in many different types of settings and share the work that we do, and often that helps us progress in some way.
What would be like your advice for entrepreneurs that would like to start something as you started?
I think if you have some kind of idea about what type of problem you would like to address and solve, before you have too many assumptions about how you're going to go about doing that, and you invest possibly in poor choices in how you go about executing, that sometimes it's just a good idea to start and to hit the ground running as quickly as you can. Because you learn really quickly by doing that thing, whatever it might be. What do you think?
And I think don't be afraid of technology. So you can do, there's so many, it's so easy to get started in a business now. You've got Google for Business, you've got Microsoft offering support for enterprises. You've got all of these tools available to you. There's a wealth of information online. You can learn about cloud computing, you can learn about coding to solve a particular challenge that you think that would form the basis of the business. You can actually, there's resources or the technology is there to actually assist you in doing that. I think that has made it much easier than ever before.
Definitely.
Okay. Where do you see this in some years from now? That kind of question.
Hopefully a lot more people and entrepreneurs have a firmer understanding of the potential of 3D printing and hopefully how it can make a difference in their lives and their businesses. We really do want this technology to be able to assist entrepreneurs scale and open up their markets where they should have been a long time ago. But just through a couple cultural and local society barriers, mindset things, they haven't yet had the opportunity to engage with that line of thinking or the technology. So we hope to change that and make sure that 3D printing technology is widely known and widely understood and well supported, I think. As much as coding is now where it's been introduced into South African curriculum, things like that, the same should be true for 3D printing, and there should be very good guidelines and support structures in place to help community organizations, educational institutions, and different types of community projects make sure that they are able to provide the skills and the access to technology and the right type of guidance for their stakeholders and those entrepreneurs.
So yeah, that's it.
Oh, great.
Thank you very much.
No problem. Thank you.
Thank you so much for your time and coming to visit us.